All right, welcome to our Theory to Practice collaboration project for EDU 6132 Learners in Context. Our charter name is Knowledge Build Nations, and our group members are Kevin Traer, Burton Shields, and Nikki Taylor. In order for teachers to effectively plan lessons that differentiate according to student needs, while engaging all students in interesting and motivating classes, they should have a basic understanding of cognitive development and how children learn. There are three primary theories of cognitive development that teachers should have a general understanding of. Piaget's theory of cognitive development, where children develop cognitively through stages. Students learn best when actively engaged in collecting, analyzing, and interpreting subject matter. Vygotsky's social learning theory, where the culture and social institutions have a significant impact on cognitive development, where teachers promote positive classroom interdependence. And information processing theory, which promotes students' memory of subject matter through learning strategies. Cognitive development is about the development of short-term memory capacity, long-term knowledge, and the use of strategies. In our group, we have developed a philosophy that we have followed. Our group philosophy is that education is a fundamental process to develop good citizens. Teachers, family members, and students themselves all contribute to the education process. Teachers strive to connect with each student, challenging and motivating them to reach their potential, while building on a child's individual strengths, interests, and background. Working with students and their families, teachers build a foundation for educational success that builds productive members of our society.
Hi, this is Burton Shields. Jean Piaget, Swiss developmental psychiatrist, developed a theory of cognitive development in stages. Piaget's theory has 4 stages: sensory motor, pre-operational, concrete operational, and formal operational. The first is sensory motor. Simple root reflexes are established and progress to gross motor skills. Children start with limited ability to control motor functions, but by the time they enter the second stage, these motor skills are defined. The environment provides the stimuli that provoke exploration at this stage. The second stage, which happens during the preschool years, is the pre-operational, where children start to assimilate concrete representations of objects, people, or events. As children progress, they are able to use representations of people and objects to act out roles. During the third stage, concrete operational, which happens roughly during the elementary grade years, reasoning skills start to emerge with children understanding conservation in terms of simple mathematics. Reasoning skills are based off concrete objects. The fourth stage is formal operational. Individuals are able to think abstractly as well as think ahead of problems. Children are able to form hypotheses without the aid. Progress through the stages is always sequential. The individual must develop the new cognitive structures required during each stage in order to move into the next stage. Some children move through the stages more rapidly than others, and some never fully reach the depth of complexity in the formal operational stage. Piaget believed that as children mature physically or biologically, then it is possible for them to develop new cognitive structures. In order for this to happen, they need to have experiences. These experiences cause cognitive conflict. In other words, new information conflicts with current information. This causes the brain to go from equilibrium to disequilibrium. When children are exposed to new information, it can fit into already understood concepts, in which case it is assimilated. If it cannot be assimilated, then it must be accommodated. In order to accommodate the new information, the student must build new cognitive structures or knowledge of new concepts. When the new structure is built, the brain can go back into equilibrium. Piaget believed appropriate cognitive conflict occurs most often in children when they are presented problems that require just a little bit more information than they currently have. They can then work through the problem and accommodate the new information. Teachers should first evaluate the stage of cognitive development and plan appropriate lessons. Instruction should be designed to promote self-exploration in students. Students should be active participants in their own education. Educators need to reduce the amount of adult power and let students initiate learning. Teachers bring awareness to inconsistencies in student thinking and actions that lead to disequilibrium. Students are assessed on knowledge through informal interviews providing immediate feedback. Piaget believed the best learning environment was one based on discovery, which leads to equilibrium. Techniques include learning and discovering in the natural environment. What better way to learn about insects than to go outside and find some? Teachers model scientific processes and thinking for students to copy. Ideas from MTMS students include ones such as from Kevin to have students combine type 2 binary compounds to see if a solid is formed. Students record which chemicals create a solid and develop a theory to how chemicals bind to each other. Whenever students become aware of conflicts, teachers ask probing questions such as, what if? Did you think of? In order to help students accommodate information as opposed to assimilation.
Hi, this is Nikki Taylor. And according to social learning theory, we learn from others when we imitate and model those around us. Culture is therefore a major driving force for cognitive development. Lev Vygotsky lived in the first half of the 20th century in the former Soviet Union and asserted that culture, including schools, language, and technology, play a major role in the cognitive abilities of its people. Conversations and modeling allow children to develop thinking and procedural skills to accomplish increasingly more difficult tasks. According to Vygotsky, every student has a zone of proximal development, or the range in which they can learn tasks with assistance. The zone is bounded on the lower end with the most difficult tasks a child can accomplish independently, and on the upper end with the most difficult task a child can accomplish with assistance. When teachers provide assistance in a student's zone of proximal development, they allow students to accomplish a task successfully. Through this period of practice with assistance, students will eventually learn how to accomplish the task independently. Similar to Piaget's concept of challenging students just beyond their current level of knowledge, teachers should be aware of students' zones of proximal development to provide the appropriate level of assistance. One way teachers can provide this assistance is through scaffolding. Teachers provide just enough prompts and hints according to student needs and gradually remove help as a student masters a task independently. Apprenticeship is one model of instruction through social interactions that includes scaffolding. Cultures pass on their intellectual knowledge of tasks through modeling, coaching, and scaffolding by the teacher, and through articulation, reflection, and exploration by the student. To implement Vygotsky's theory in the classroom, teachers must use frequent formative assessments to determine students' zones of proximal development. Teachers should break tasks into appropriate chunks and model directives using scaffolding to help students acquire pieces to the puzzle. In order to appropriately scaffold their help, teachers should plan activities for small groups, partners, and individuals to work on while they circulate and provide individualized instruction and support. Teachers should find times and lessons for students to articulate by explaining what they're doing, to reflect by thinking about, discussing, and writing about their understanding of concepts, and to explore their interests. Following these steps should allow students to build knowledge to conquer more complex tasks. Remember, teachers must maintain a positive tone and be patient while helping students through the learning process. At the beginning of a lesson or unit, teachers can use admit tickets to assess where students are at in their zone of proximal development on a given concept. In math, teachers can model problem-solving techniques in their thought process for students. Follow this modeling with partner work on a set of problems. This time allows for the teacher to circulate and scaffold instruction. Peers can also articulate to each other how they were solving problems. Finally, allow time at the end of a lesson for students to reflect on their learning and for you to assess student understanding to help determine if material needs to be reviewed or if increasingly difficult challenges can be offered. Don't forget to use a positive and encouraging tone when presenting new information and let your students know you're confident that they can succeed.
In information processing theory, cognitive development is derived from experiences that trigger the use of short-term memory, which develop into long-term knowledge. Sensory cues derived from the environment add knowledge as new information is experienced. Cognitive strategies for remembering the subject matter assist to bring forward knowledge and combine it with short-term memory to create thinking. Procedural knowledge, how to do something, and declarative knowledge, the understanding of a concept, are stored away to be used later to answer questions and new experiences. Metacognition is knowledge about and awareness of thinking, including the knowledge of when and where to apply acquired strategies in the classroom. In the classroom, students build on previous knowledge and use strategies to answer new questions by schemata. Students extrapolate information about new topics from previously gained information and tie concepts together. Guided discovery allows the teacher to support students in defining features, terms, and concepts. During guided instruction, the teacher lays the foundation of information that students will build on. Guided instruction can take the form of simple prompts and allow the students to work on their own. Imagery allows nonverbal representations to be connected to verbal representations being learned. Since many students are drawn to visual representations, using imagery can evoke excitement and wonder about new topics. Distributed cognition allows many individuals to work together, adding interpretations of previous knowledge to answer new questions. The diversity of students and their thinking allows for multiple ways that information can be relayed to each other. Students working together allows for collaboration and builds relationships. Metacognition allows the students to draw on previous knowledge and how to tie concepts together from previous learned material. While practicing these techniques, the teacher should inform students of the utility of a new strategy and describe benefits and where and when the strategy is most effective, allowing students to practice the strategy and monitor its effectiveness. Using science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, also known as STEM activities, allows individuals to share information using distributed cognition that they previously derived to answer a larger problem. Using STEM activities enhances cross-curricular material and allows for more than one way of answering a problem. Since many STEM activities draw from higher-level thinking, students use metacognition to develop strategies to answer these challenging questions. Lab activities provide a hands-on experience to learning where students are able to explore their knowledge and share it with others. For example, if students are learning about the anatomy of a frog, individually they have pieces of information from what they have learned, but pair them up for dissection, and now we have shared information and collaboration that solidifies knowledge. These bits of information gathered and shared with other individuals continues the scaffolding of learning. Students build from each other's knowledge and can answer larger, more in-depth questions because of the way they have scaffolded the information.
Teachers can help meet the needs of their students while attending to their cognitive and social development. The teacher should help children deal with stress, as learning is negatively impacted by stress by providing a nurturing environment and individual attention when needed. Teachers should recognize and respect cultural differences. Teachers should communicate and connect with families and the community. Teachers need to know the cognitive and maturity level of their students. Teachers need to know what interest and knowledge that students already possess. Teachers can then develop strategies to help individuals overcome learning obstacles. Teachers need to provide a safe learning environment that welcomes all learners.
Beyond creating a nurturing environment for our students, we also need to motivate them to succeed. We all envision classrooms with motivated and engaged students, but how do we create that environment? First off, know your students. Be aware of their previous knowledge and push them to expand on it. Find out what interests them and connect material with what they already know. Tap into what they are curious about and allow them to explore. Some examples are to allow students to choose topics for discovery instead of always being assigned to them, and also tie in real-life situations that students can relate to. Next, think about providing hands-on activities that promote group work to improve social skills and to expand on distributed cognition. Give students ownership and individual roles in their projects. Allow students choice in how they present material. Challenge your students and set high expectations for them. Let them know that what they're learning may be difficult, but it is valuable knowledge and that they can do it. And finally, encourage a growth mindset in your students where they believe that effort dictates their success and that failure is a part of the learning, is part of learning and improvement. In closing, as the summer ends and you head to your classrooms, consider incorporating a few of these characteristics that we believe are found in excellent classrooms. For your classroom setup, keep your classroom orderly with lab equipment labeled and stored properly. Keep mini libraries stocked with inviting information for students to read to encourage exploration. Have models and other visual representations present in the classroom for students to use in instruction, review, and to spur curiosity. For instructional strategies, help direct students but minimize lecture time. Differentiate instruction, addressing individual learning needs by altering the process, content, or product of a lesson and engaging with students in small groups. Assimilate your students' culture into teaching practices. Remember that variety is key. Provide multiple forms of learning material such as audio, visual, or tactical, and employ various instructional strategies. Use formative assessments during instruction to assess your students' understanding and identify if concepts need to be clarified post-assessment. Set aside time to allow the students to reflect on their learning. And finally, have students engage in classroom discussion in which they have skills to challenge their classmates in a thoughtful and respectful manner. Allow them to pose insightful questions to focus discussions on areas of student interest. And in closing, we wish you the best of luck for both you and your students in the coming year, and happy teaching.